Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Willie Dennis III. I am the owner and publisher with the Black Ink Coalition. And what we do is we help people to self-publish themselves and then promote their work. That's what brings us here today. So first, I'd like to take a moment of silence because there have been a lot of things going on in the world, and there are people that have had things that have happened with them. I just want to take a moment of appreciation and reflection. So let's give that just a moment. And I thank you very much. So welcome everyone to the first Jazz Art Writers South Festival, or J.A.W.S Festival, as we're going to call it in the future, for 2022. Again, my name is Willie Dennis III, and I am the owner and publisher with the Black Ink Coalition, a little company that we formed here, me and my dad, to help people self-publish themselves and then begin the journey of promoting that self-published work. As a self-published author, generally, you know, Mom knows, brother and sister know, that's all who know that you wrote a book, okay? There's nobody out there except for you to help you do that journey of promoting and publishing your work. So that's what we do. We try to give people an opportunity to have an ecosystem and give them the opportunity to share their work with the world on broad-based events. So I thank you all for joining us today. So the speech will be a little bit weird. This remarks will be a little bit weird because it's basically all thank yous. I don't know who does that, but we do have a lot of people to thank to create this event. So first, I'd like to thank the artists who have contributed to this event, to this gallery, this exhibit. We have had 7 Gulf Coast artists, including Margaret Ritchie, who is here with us today, Mr. Thomas Jackson, Robbie Aminette, Dr. Joaquin Holloway, Everett Spurl, Soinika Edwards-Bush, and the J.A.W.S youth, who are members of the Boys and Girls Club, which are in the cases which are presented here today. Those were created by youth. I also want to give a special thank you to Hosea London, who has contributed to this whole entire experience on many different levels. The origin of this event comes from the Excelsior Band. That's why we wanted to have their genuine participation. It's been a joy to see Theodore Arthur here today. I'm going to get all emotional. It's been fantastic to be able to see Hosea come through and continue to celebrate what we're trying to do here today. So a very special thank you to Hosea London. I need to also thank our sponsors. So we have had a few sponsors. This is one of our first time we've had the opportunity to get sponsors, so I want to be sure to thank them. So I want to thank the Office of Multicultural Student Activities, who provided food for our authors today. We thank them very much. The University of South Alabama Student Government Association, who are sponsoring our concert on June 16th for the Excelsior Band to perform. I'd like to thank the University of South Alabama Federal Credit Union for providing us free popcorn in our movie today. And the University of South Alabama Library and Library Art Galleries for giving us the opportunity to have this free venue, this gigantic space, and the opportunity to all congregate here. We thank you all very, very much. I also need to give a thank you to the Doyle Leal McCall Rare Book and Manuscript Library. It took me a second to get it all in there. Or the Archives Department, as I genuinely call them, because they have been personally helpful to me in creating some of the opportunities that are in this exhibit. So I want to make sure to thank all of these people generously for their contributions. I am a 2009 graduate of the University of South Alabama with a Bachelor in Music degree. I have a whole story which connects me to South Alabama, which basically is that my parents met here on this campus. And if it was not for this school, I would not be here. We would not be here today. We did move away with my dad's military service, and we returned to Mobile. So that's why I don't sound like a Southerner, y'all. I'm sorry. But we did return to Mobile in 1995. And I think the next year, in 1996, I was in school, right back here in South Alabama. Working, living, took a while to finish my degree program, but I finally did in 2009. And I'm a proud alumnus of South Alabama. So thank you, South Alabama, for everything you've done. I am very appreciative of having the opportunity to give back to this community, to this university, in this unique and I believe very important way. I'm not sure if anyone else has had a chance to do this, so I'm very, very grateful. I'm very grateful. I also want to give a special thank you to Paula Webb, my cohort today, and her team for their assistance in generating the publicity, helping us create the work, helping us do the things that need to be done as far as getting the bedrock rolling. Her referrals to these amazing artists that we have on our walls here. It's just been a joy to have a conversation every week. Why don't you talk to somebody? Why don't you talk to somebody? It's been very, very fun. And I also want to be sure to thank her for embracing big ideas, not being scared of taking on the challenge of let's make something big, let's make something different, let's make something new and exciting. So I also want to be sure to thank her with that in mind for making this exhibit permanent. And so that means this time, next year, we get to do this all over again. Okay? So thank you, Paula, for making that. And I would also like to be sure to thank her for one key piece that's gotten me through the day-to-day creation of this exhibit, and that is how to eat an elephant. And we all know that is one bite at a time, okay? We have to eat an elephant one bite at a time, one day at a time. So I thank you all for joining us today. I appreciate you being here, and again, welcome to Jazz Art Writers South for 2022. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, so we are gathered here today for our first of two community-wide events. This event that we're having today, of course, I mentioned downstairs, we're having a movie, which is for the public, to have them, let them have an attraction to come and have some free popcorn, experience jazz in a new way, because not everybody knows about jazz. Even fewer people know that jazz is on film. So we have a jazz performance film going on downstairs, let them experience jazz, but up here, we have the J.A.W.S. letters and songs. And the people here that are authors are people that are creating what will be done in the future movies, the future books, the future songs, all the things that will come in the future. So you are the bedrock of what happens with everything else. So I definitely appreciate you being here. I want to be sure to thank all of my authors, Viola Bright, J.A.W.S, Willie Dennis Jr., Wanda Lewis, Arthur L. Mack, and Jody Kane Smith for joining us here today. And again, your contributions are very important. As we said, this is just the beginning. I hope that you've had a wonderful experience here today. And again, we get to do this all over again next year. We want to fill this lobby up with authors, and then let the community come and experience what that's like to see, 20, 30 local Mobile, Alabama authors. I think it'd be a one-of-a-kind experience that you'll never forget. So thank you for being here for the first one. I look forward to seeing you again in the future for our future events. And with that, I thank you. We will have our first author reading in about 10 minutes here. And we will start with, I believe we'll have to let J.A.W.S go first because Wright is not back. So we will start our author readings in about 10 minutes. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. All right, everyone, so we are ready to begin our author readings. We like to let our authors share about their work, read from their work, and talk about themselves for just a few minutes. And we're going to have to do a little shift in schedule because we do have some people that are moving about to join the exhibit. So we will go ahead and have Ms. J.A.W.S come up and read from her book, Lyrical Inspiration. Come on up, Danielle.
Hello, everyone. I just want to thank the Black Ink Coalition for giving me this opportunity to be here. This is my first book that I have published, but some of the work in the book I wrote years ago, but I decided last year to publish it because of the pandemic and everything that's been going on with people and some of my students being depressed and mental illness on the rise. And I just thought that I could share some wisdom and some inspiration and just help people. And also it was therapeutic for me as well. Okay, so I'm going to be reading A Beautiful Day. I stepped outside. Clouds filled the blue sky. The Union bore a gray shadow over the earth. The smell of fresh, harsh rain greeted me immediately. Although no rain could be seen, the presence left a bittersweet aftertaste that lingered on every resting place. I began to walk with no help from the wind that could have carried me the night before. At last, it stood still, quiet, and everything that moved caused an echo. I passed tired trees with backs that were slumped over. Those that stood straight were too weak to hold their arms. Tiers of leaves, green then brown, whole then crumbled, fell constantly to the ground. I saw sidewalks and streets cluttered with debris of someone's hard earnings, such as papers, boxes, clothes, and so much more. Other things taken from its proper place resided in yards, playgrounds, and businesses. I could feel the mixed emotions of those frantically searching through piles of rubble that once laid the foundation of homes, cars, and stores. The cries from a little girl for her doll rang heavily in my ears. Then a sound, a melodic sound, came from a bird on the ground. His brown, black, and gray skin presented an unflattering appearance as he stood with a broken wing next to a heap of straw. He sang as though he had nothing left but the sweetest song that could not be disturbed. His song was my revelation. I took a deep breath and smiled. And in some of my works, I include an inspirational guide. So now, no matter how many storms may come your way, or what you may be stripped of in life, God's eye is on the sparrow. Always know that He will take care of you. Thank you.
All right, our next author to read will be Willie Dennis Jr. Let's have Mr. Dennis come on up and read from one of his many books. Yes, he has many. Mr. Dennis.
How we doing today, everyone? I'm Willie Dennis Jr. I'm a published author, and I've written a book of poetry, and I want to recite some of it today. Hopefully you enjoy it. It's a poem dedicated to love poems. The one I'm going to read today is entitled You. As I sat next to you last night, I could see the beauty in your face. It made me love you. I could feel you, the thoughts of you, of the happiness you bring me. To be here with you, let me be the one to love you. Let me be the one to take care of you. Let me be the one in your life to share this love and the devotion of you. All right.
What's the book called, Mr. Dennis?
This book is called Thoughts. Book is called Thoughts. Book of love poems. I also want to read another one to you that I have. I think it's a very lovely poem. It's a bit long, but it also has a purpose. This one's called Beautiful Woman. Beautiful woman, love of my life, come stand by my side forever. In life and love, joy and happiness. Beautiful woman, love of my life, know that my heart is with you forever. Beautiful woman, love of my life, stand close to me and let our lives be together forever. Beautiful woman, love of my life, hear the sound of the word that sings about happiness of each day in our arms together. Beautiful woman, love of my life, feel the joy of being near to each other and help make this forever. Beautiful woman, love of my life, come dance and laugh and smile as the days turn into years and time of our friendship forever. Beautiful woman, love of my life, do not be afraid of the future, for we are that love that will last forever. Beautiful woman, love of my life, love me forever, find a man that will love you to that which is beyond forever. Beautiful woman, love of my life, be the love that lasts as always. Be the love that shines and gives happiness to my world. Be that love that holds my heart until the end of time. Beautiful woman, love of my life, let me not stand in love alone. Stand, take my hand, hold my heart, and take it, be in my life forever. Beautiful woman, love of my life, let the world sing of our love, as our future is seen by others, and as made in heaven and blessed by the Lord forever. Beautiful woman, love of my life, see the light that grows from my smile when we are together. Beautiful woman, love of my life, know that my heart beats to hear your voice and to know that you are near. Beautiful woman, love of my life, all I want is to share this world with you in my heart and by my side all days. Beautiful woman, love of my life, faith in the strength of our love through which we grow as a family. Beautiful woman, love of my life, have faith once again with love. Have faith in this heart that beats to you only. A heart that is full of love through which all things are possible. Beautiful woman, love of my life, have faith. Love this heart, love this man forevermore.
Our next author coming up to read will be Arthur L. Mack, gentleman who has many books here in the city of Mobile. Come on up, Mr. Mack.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. When I was listening to Willie talk about his time in South Alabama, it brought back memories because things have gone full circle for me because my wife and I are graduates in South Alabama. As a matter of fact, we met here many, many years ago. And, it's hard to believe that here we are back on campus in an event such as this. So it just goes to show you things can happen full circle. And as Willie said, I've published many books, 6 total as of last month. And I have to tell you, it's been a labor of love. It's been labor intensive, labor draining, but, it's been well worth it. The last 2 works I've done, I kind of kept them a secret from my wife because I didn't want to jinx the project. As a matter of fact, I spent so much time up in the study, working on this stuff. She was joking with me about I must have been watching porn. but as it turns out, I was not. I was hard at work.
I was kidding.
Yeah, she was kidding. I'll give her that. One of the works that I will be reading from, one of my latest works, is entitled Marvin and Melanie. It's sort of a young adult novel. It's about a young man who's in high school, who's about to graduate from high school. I guess you could say he's a self-professed nerd. He's deep in the books, but he has not had any luck in finding someone, a significant other to be with until he meets this young lady who was homeless and who was kicked out of her house because of some unfortunate circumstances, which were no fault of her own. But that's another story. But I want to read one section here that's really inspiring. Excitement filled Granny Pettigrew's house as the Pettigrew clan gathered for Thanksgiving dinner. Yolanda and Kelvin were running around the house playing tag. Nanny's wife, Gloria, was in the kitchen helping Granny, Pettigrew, and Claudia make last-minute preparations for dinner. Meanwhile, Elijah was in the living room with Nanny and Marcus watching a football game. The Detroit Lions were playing in their annual Thanksgiving Day game, hosting the Carolina Panthers. For Marcus, it was right up his alley. Wonder if the Lions can win a Thanksgiving game for a change, she asked as Elijah and Nanny watched. They're long overdue, son, Elijah sighed as the Lions running back fumbled near the goal line and the Panthers recovered. They need some new talent in a hurry. Granny Pettigrew soaked in the sights and sounds of the holiday activity and allowed herself a slight smile. A woman of medium build with a head full of gray hair, her eyes were still bright and could stare a hole through a concrete wall when she wanted to make a point while carrying on a conversation. Where's Marvin at? She finally said, breaking her silence. He should be on his way, Claudia replied. He's dating a young lady who's living in a group home, and he invited her to have dinner with us. Lord have mercy, a group home. A boy like Marvin messing with a gal in a group home? He couldn't find any decent gals? Well, dear, Melanie's not your ordinary girl. After she was raped by her mother's boyfriend, her mother threw her out. She was homeless for a while after she came to Forest Grove. Marvin met her a few months ago. Granny Pettigrew simply stood there and said, Melanie, huh? I got to meet this gal. Hope she don't lead Marvin astray. You know how these gals in the street are. They're so fast. Well, from what I heard, Melanie's not like that, Gloria said. In fact, by all accounts, she's pretty smart in school. Commotion coming from the living room interrupted the woman's conversation as Marvin and Melanie arrived. Well, 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 Elijah said, laughing. Look who finally decided to show up. Hello, Mr. Pettigrew, Melanie said, extending her hand. It's good to see you again. She looked at Nanny and Marcus and said, Marvin, these must be your brothers. Yeah, my two role models, he said. They've been wanting to meet you. Marvin here told us a lot about you, Marcus said, smiling at Melanie's outfit. But he didn't tell us you were this good looking. Looks like my baby brother has some good taste. Hey, Uncle Marvin, Yolanda and Kelvin shouted joyfully in unison and greeted him with a hug. Is that your girlfriend? Yes, it is. This is Melanie.
Presented by Jody King Smith, a local author with several books here in the Mobile, Alabama community. Jody, please come up.
Earlier, some of you were talking about your connection to University of South Alabama. Mine actually goes back to the 60s, although I wasn't born until 1975. But my father was a member of the first graduating class of the College of Engineering here on South's campus. And then I am a 1998, I think, graduate of the theater department. I mean, it's been a minute. Those are crazy years. And it was the first year of the Laidlaw Performance Center here on campus. Before then, we were actually located in that cute little chapel building that's so tiny, but it's actually just like, it's a big nothing space inside of it. And that was the theater department for years. And I loved it. Because it felt like there was a lot of history. I write Southern Gothic. The Woods of Barley Bend is my first novel. It's based on the true story of my grandmother's adolescence here in rural Alabama. And my great-grandfather was tried for murder of my great-grandmother. When my grandma, Hattie, my granny, she was 14 years old when her mother died. And so The Woods of Barley Bend follows her coming of age through the murder trial of her father. I'm going to be reading to you today from my second novel, Bayou Cresting, which is total fiction. And this is the result of what happens when people tell me no too often. So as many women in this world, in this country, and especially Southern women, oftentimes the world does not know what to do with our ambition. Oftentimes we are either coddled or patronized or acted as if that women with ambition are some sort of monster. I have been called aggressive several times when I like to look at it as assertive. So, Bayou Cresting is a novel in stories. It is 10 women in this fictional town of Hewitt Point. Each of them have their own short story in the novel, and then they are also all interconnected. They make cameo appearances, and it follows these women through Hewitt Point through one calendar year. I'm going to read from the story Ernestine and Rosary today for you. Stop that, Ernestine said as she yanked the door open. Rosary Hodges, you best be dead or dying to knock on my door at this hour. I think I used too much. Rosary's eyes darted from Ernestine to the home next door, the home she shared with Mr. Hodges. Too much what? Ernestine asked. With her adrenaline pumping and Colwyn slapping her in the face, she struggled to make sense of Rosary's panic. The powder, Rosary whispered yelled. I think I used too much, and now he's, well, without a thank you note, I wasn't sure you even received the basket of goodies. Ernestine grabbed her velvet-backed cape from a hook near the door and slipped on a pair of Walter's old boots. The two big boots had sat next to the front door for nearly a year, as if Walter might spring from his bed one day and walk again. Like Ernestine's ever-blooming roses, her hope never withered. Ernestine stood before Rosary, standing in the doorway. "Are you gonna move so an old lady can get by?" "Where are you going?" Rosary asked. Ernestine stomped down the front stairs and through the front frost-covered grass. "I'm gonna go see what you did. Isn't that why you're pounding on my door?" "What I did? You gave me the powder. And that note! I had to burn it so Mr. Hodges wouldn't see how vulgar you are." "Well, that's a fine thing to say, considering I'm not the one who sprinkled that stuff in my husband's trousers." Ernestine flung Rosary's door open to view the scene. One vase and big shards on the floor, its contents scattered. Two overturned chairs. One needlepoint basket resting on its side. One Mr. Hodges with his trousers around his ankles and bare buttocks shining in the moonlight, writhing on the floor. "Good God, Rosary, how much did you use?" "The bottle." "The whole bottle?" "Yes." Rosary fell to her knees next to her husband. "Have I ruined him?" Ernestine squatted on aging knees and tried to look between Mr. Hodges' hip bone and the floor. "Hard to tell from this angle. I'm guessing the tender spots are more toward the front."
We will now have our last reading of the day from my friend and multiple author, J.A.W.S. Ms. J.A.W.S, come on up. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have multiple books. I have 5 books, but this one is the one that I'm pushing today. Circle of Love. Why? Because it has captured so much interest that I have people who want to make a movie of it. And thank you. So that's another endeavor, movie making. I'm writing for movie making. But I love it. I love the arts. I have a ministry, TC Bright Productions Ministry. We use the arts to spread the good news. Culinary, literary, performing, and visual arts. So this is part of the literary. And we will be performing. So, it all comes in together. I incorporate it all. This book is what makes it so different than most of my writing, which is poetry. Those of you who know me, I like to recite poetry to jazz. And I decided to do something in fiction. Poetry, of course, is not fiction. Based on truth. Fiction based on truth in real life. I did not give my characters any description because I want you to visualize someone you know when you're reading the book and say, that's Aunt Josie. Oh, that's my cousin. Or you may even say, I thought about that too. So I wanted it to touch everyone. And I found that it touched the men so deeply that they are the ones who've been giving me all the reviews. The ladies, they sort of keep quiet about it. Oh, it was good, it was great. Yeah, it's just what I needed at this time. But the men go in detail to tell you about it. And I wanted to write it from a perspective where, when you say love, a circle of love, the first thing you think, oh, another love song. Just another love song. But I wanted to write this from a perspective where a man could relate to it as well. And even a younger person, a teenager, reading it. It deals with conflict. As a matter of fact, let me read the back of this bookmark. It says, find yourself in this faith-based fictional drama thriller, A Circle of Love, which is the first novel in a series of stories that expose the issues in our lives that we do not care to discuss. This series of books will introduce characters that we all know on a personal basis. One of them may be someone that we see in the mirror every day. A Circle of Love gives us an inner vision and voice into heartfelt emotions concerning our issues with careers, communication, death, emotional instabilities, family matters, finances, habits, insecurities, mental conditions, rejection, relationships, trust, and spirituality. So it covers a whole gamut of things in life. And I've been around for, thank God, 75 years. So I've seen a lot, experienced a lot, and I feel that we all experience the same things at one time or another in our lives if we live long enough, either directly or indirectly. So this is the first in a series of books that I'm going to write on issues. This particular one deals with trust. It's about Sarah and Derek and Helen. Certainly, 3. Nope, not to try. In this first chronicle, you will be introduced to Helen, along with a few other intimate issues that we face on a daily basis. Here you will find that it was Helen's insecurity that allowed a small thing as a little bottle of perfume to push her over the edge. Sometimes we will be walking right along the edge and don't know it. And just one little thing, insignificant, that would normally bother you, it just sets you off. And this is what happened with her. To give you an idea of Helen's personality and how we, in conversation, talk to each other, sometimes we assume a lot. And the person may say with texting. That's why they use the emojis. Because words have no emotion in themselves unless you express them that way when you write them, form, or when you say them. You hear the voice, and then you can, it's hard to hide an emotion when you speak the words. So it's good to communicate with the voice. Helen and Derek are in this fancy restaurant. And Derek says, I have good news and bad news. Derek says to Helen as he reached across the table to grab her hand, what do you want to get first? He asked. It's been almost 3 years since I graduated from college, he continued without waiting for her answer. And I have not been able to find a job that pays a decent salary in my field of study. The good news is, a friend of mine that works at one of the top firms told me that they have an opening for someone in my field of study, and guess what? I have been guaranteed the position if I apply immediately. Derek, that's wonderful news. I know you're going to apply, so what's the bad news? Helen smiled at him with a curious expression. Well, he hesitated. I will have to relocate to Miami. And you know that Miami is much too far for me to continue to commute. Helen nervously slipped her hand out of his to reach for her glass of wine. She took a gulp of it, salon style, before speaking. So, you brought me to this fancy restaurant for our last supper. She spat at him with tears in her eyes. Derek smiled and reached for her hand again. No, honey, I want to take you with me. She snatched her hand from his hand and reached for her napkin. She dabbed at the corners of her eyes so as not to ruin her makeup. Take me with you? Dear Troy, are you asking me to quit my good-paying job to shack up with you in Miami? Derek continued to smile as he reached into the inner pocket of his suit coat and pulled out a ring box. He opened it and took out a ring. No, I'm not asking you to quit your good paying job and shack up with me. I'm asking you to quit your good paying job to be my wife and let me take care of you, he said with a big grin. Helen slowly took the ring from his hand. As a smile started to spread across her face, she lifted her hands and squealed with delight. Her squeal caused a few heads to turn in the restaurant to see what was going on. Oh, Derek, it's beautiful. Where did you get the money to buy a diamond this large? She said in a whisper. I love it, she said louder. Are you going to get down on one knee and ask me to marry you? Whatever it takes to get you to say yes, he said, taking the ring from Helen's hand, then getting down on one knee. Helen Elaine Williams, will you marry me? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Helen jumped up and down and extended her hand to Derek and placed the ring on her finger. He stood up and they embraced in a long kiss. People in the restaurant started to applaud and smile, and then, oh, they were so excited. I have to start making wedding plans, she said, bending her face with her hand. Wedding plans? Derek stopped smiling. We don't have time for wedding. I have to leave this Sunday in order to be there in time for my interview on Monday. Helen dropped down in her seat with a sad face. No wedding. Everyone wants a wedding, Derek. I tell you what, let's wait till you go to Miami, get the job, find a place for us to stay, and then come back here for the wedding. That will give me time to make plans for everything, she suggested. Well, I had planned for us to stay at my parents' home until I save up enough money to make a down payment on our own house. I want our wedding to be at a time when I can afford to take a vacation and take you on a honeymoon. That big diamond ring you're wearing there cleared out my bank account. Besides that, a wedding is just a big show for the public. I love you. I want you to be with me when I go to Miami, Derek said with a look of desperation on his face. How can you make plans for my life, without discussing it with me first, Derek Troy? I don't want to stay at your parents' house, she said, and she stood up and threw her napkin on the table. She grabbed her purse and looked at Derek. Your mother hates me, and you know it. She walked away briskly, almost running through the table.
Thank you, everybody, for your awesome readings. It's always fantastic to hear from the author themselves. You get a different perspective than when you read it. You understand a little bit more about that creative process and what it took to kind of bring that to the table. Writing a book is not an easy process. I've only written one book. I've written plenty of songs as a gospel music major, but only one book, so I know it's a long creative process. So I want to be sure to thank all the authors for coming out today, and I hope that you have enjoyed what they've been able to share. So that's going to conclude our author readings for today, and I want to again thank Viola Bright, Jody Kane Smith, Willie Dennis Jr., Danielle Davis, and Arthur Al Mack for coming out. Ms. Vonda Lewis had to leave us early, so we'll be sure to thank her for her participation as well. And with that, that's going to conclude our J.A.W.S. Letters and Songs piece of the day.